What is up, everybody? How are you guys doing today? Happy Monday. Wow. I don't know. Do you guys notice a couple changes in the background? It's a work in progress. It's not finished yet. This is temporary until we get some more things to put up on the back. But hopefully, it's going to add some depth and some more character to the background. And so that's something my wife and I worked on over the weekend. And that's why it's temporarily like this. It's going to kind of be like this, but eventually we'll have more stuff back here. I can put up more stuff of like my military background and things for you guys to pick at. And also, it'll allow me to pull back the camera a little bit more, which will give it a lot more of an open, in the room kind of feel. So hopefully you guys will like those changes. And it'll be this week. I might not get to it till the weekend as I work full time, but yeah. So sorry I couldn't be with you guys yesterday. I really wish I could. Sundays is the day that I do outdoor yard work. And it literally took me like 6.5 to 8 hours to pull weeds, weed whack, and mow the front backside yard. And I'm a hard worker. I'm not like just dilly dallying. But by the time I was done, it was like 6:30. I was exhausted. My head was throbbing. I hadn't eaten, and I needed to take a shower. And there was no way I was going to get all that done in time to meet with you guys and have a show prepared for you guys for 7 p.m. last night. So I'm really sorry for the late notice and any inconvenience that may have caused anyone. I appreciate the warm sentiments on the post. A lot of people were saying, I hope everything's okay. Everything is okay. Oh my gosh. So the reason why you guys saw a thumbnail and a possible link at like, I don't know, what time did we start working on the room in here? At 11 or 12, and the title was a letter T. And it looked like I was going live any minute. That was not intentional. I actually completely spaced that it was going to make an actual like placement holder for a live on YouTube, because I just went into StreamYard, which is like the platform most streamers use to stream and to stream all their content to like the different platforms. I needed access to my camera to check out the new setup. And we're in here and it's like on, and I'm looking at the comments and I'm like, holy smokes, there's like 30 something people here. Is the camera on? Have they been watching me and my wife this whole time? Like, it was scary. And then I look in the right-hand corner. I'm like, oh, no, it says go live. Okay, it's not live. But then it also created a different issue. You guys were all hoping that we were going to be going live any minute, and I felt horrible. But I needed to test the camera with the new setup, with the angles, and make sure everything looked right. We had to change a lot of stuff around, and I needed to turn the camera on and see what it would look like, in the real deal. And when I did that, it, created the link in the thumbnail, and you guys thought we were going live. So I disappointed you guys twice in one day. I won't do that again, I promise. My apologies to any inconvenience that may have caused anybody. Okay. So today, we're going to look at a couple things. And the thumbnail is not necessarily indicative of the whole thing that we're going to cover. And I need to find a way to create a thumbnail that's like all encompassing and catchy. Maybe I'll talk with Zach. A lot of, Baron kind of does his own thing too, and it doesn't really encapsulate everything that he covers. But he's big. Him and Zach are big, and they don't really need that a catchy thumbnail and title. I'm still very, very humble, small, growing channel. And a lot of the ways to get unsubscribed viewers to click on my thumbnail is the thumbnail and title. But what I never do, I'll never do this, is create a thumbnail and title that's misleading or lying in some way that like it is over promising and under delivering what it says. So many times I've been disappointed when I click on other people's videos thinking like there's a major breakthrough in the Charlie Kirk case. Not any of the big names, not Candace, not Barron, not Ian, not Dee Dee, not any of the big names. Some of the smaller channels that, I think are trying their best to get reach, but they now are clickbaiting, and I just find that to not be appropriate. So I'll never do that. But I do need to find a way to get to like a place where I can not have to create such specific thumbnails and titles. But that'll be coming. That'll be coming. Okay. Today's show, we're going to be looking at a couple things from Barron's show today, just like one thing, and then one thing from Candace's show, and then we're going to look at a clip from the Tucker Carlson New York Times interview, and then we're going to look at the interview from the witness to the Charlie Kirk assassination that Brandy and Billy did a long time ago. And I initially did a breakdown of the video when this channel was even smaller. And I wasn't quite where I'm at now with my, confidence and comfortableness behind the TV or this, the camera and the mic. And I'd like to revisit that because I think it is interesting. It's interesting, especially in the light of things that have, happened since then. And what we know people in, individuals in leadership, whether that be, like Frank Turek and, on behalf of TPUSA, going back to UVU, promoting his event, asking for witnesses specifically to come back the day before, the day of, and then seemingly try to change their minds, implant their version of the narrative into their mind, also to get them back at an event where most likely that event is being geocached by TPUSA. And now those phones, everyone that went to that event, their phone was grafted in to this whole geocaching, tagging, tracking software that, was put into effect right after Charlie Kirk's assassination. And every Make Heaven Crowded event has been doing it. Every TPUSA event has been doing it. And I think it was a way to track and maybe possibly control witnesses that hadn't come forward. Because remember, out of 3,000 something people, only like 100 actual witnesses were willing to come forward and give their witness testimony and offer their story, their, testimony, I guess. Yeah, the testimony to the authorities. And so Blake and others had said this. I think I had said it too. There is, unknown unknowns that remain out in the world as it pertains to the Charlie Kirk assassination. There's still possible videos and possible testimony from people on the ground that day, witnesses that have either been too afraid to come forward to date, or even possibly have been approached already, threatened, or scared not to come forward. And it is possible that TPUSA, people within the investigative team at the Utah State Bureau of Investigation, the Utah County Attorney's Office, FBI, ATF, others that have a vested interest in ensuring that Tyler Robinson is convicted, charged, and sentenced to death. They have a vested interest to make sure that no new witnesses come forward with any damning testimony that contradict their day of events. And I think this gentleman, for whatever reason, is part of that, because it's weird. It's just a very bizarre interview. And it'll be funny. And I'll do it respectfully, but it'll be interesting. Let's see. Who do we got? Is Candace MI6? No. Because she married her, because her husband's British? What makes you say that? Erica, MK, Mortal Kombat Ultra? What makes you say that? No, I do not believe Candace Owens is in any way an asset, an intel agent, a disinformation, um, individual. I honestly do think she is an honest actor, a true friend of Charlie Kirk, and trying to get to the bottom of this. I think my only questions I've ever had of her, due to she has a full deck she's playing with, and we only get to see a few cards, right? And so when she plays a card, for an analytical brain like me, sometimes it seems out of place. Sometimes it doesn't make sense immediately. And I'll ask questions, but I've never accused Candace, and I never will, of lying and intentionally withholding truth from her audience and from the public. Um, I know Zach Costello, and Zach is an honest, upstanding Christian man who has spent time with Barron and Candace, and he himself has vouched for both of them. And I put my trust in Zach. I don't know Barron personally or Candace, but I trust Zach. And from what I see and what I know, I trust Candace and Barron. I just understand that I don't know them, but they've never done anything dishonest. Nothing that they've ever, none of their videos have ever come out to be misleading, lying, anything like that. I understand. And I think the more time that goes on, that I think for myself on things, that there's things that Candace and Barron are being very, very strategic and smart about in what they're showing, when they're showing it, how they're saying it, and what they're not saying. But okay, let's change gears. Enough of that. For all of you that are new here or returning, oh, here we go. Gary is a Fed for sure. Yes. 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 Yeah. Somebody either emailed me or put a message in. Yeah, there are so many bizarre things about Gary Melton at Paramount, in my opinion. Sorry. Whoa, I got ahead of myself. I don't want to get sued, like all these people suing everybody for opinions. Literally, that was in the lawsuit, right? Against Candace. Like, they're suing her for her stated opinions. Okay. She's never stated anything as a fact. That's weird. Anyway, it's my opinion that whether he works directly for the feds or not, I mean, he used to train federal agents. He definitely has networks and connections to that world. Also, I think what's more likely is that someone in TPUSA, someone in the administration, or in the federal government and in one of the bureaus or departments, or approached him, maybe even Dan Bongino, because there's a sleuth of content creators that all are at the same time spouting the same talking points over and over and over again. I can't help but draw a through line from one to the next, to the next, to the next. And so at the very least, I think he's engaged in intentional disinformation, in my opinion, as an attempt to defend and protect Erica and TPUSA. To what end? I don't know, but I don't think it's good. I think that for all of us with a brain, eyes, and ears, we are all rightfully suspicious of TPUSA and Erica Kirk. And just the ridiculous attacks on Candace, Barron, Ian, and anyone else that levels any criticism, critique, or just a question about them or people involved with them is insane. Talk about shutting down conversation, inquiry, and investigation. When Charlie Kirk himself said, keep asking questions, it's the only thing that keeps us free. And one of the things he liked about Candace was that she was a free and independent thinker, and wasn't afraid to say what was on her mind. And she was never afraid to stand up to power structures that seek to control us. You know? Yeah. All right. Let's get into it. So, as you guys come in, please do me a favor, hit the like and subscribe. It is the best way to help the channel. I do appreciate it. Hopefully, more people will fill in as we go. I know I took yesterday off, and I don't know, is Baron still live right now? I was behind on his video, so he might be, and that might be the reason. Let's see. All right. Do you guys? Okay, so for those of you that watched Baron Coleman's episode today, there's a part in which, oh my gosh, I'll have to play it to remember the dude's name he was talking about. The guy that created like the Celebrity Apprentice, Survivor, and then he wrote that book about something ISIS. He used to be like somewhat a special forces guy in England in the British military. And then, man, what was his name? Anyway, I'll think of it when we hop over there and look at it. One of the things he said, right, was the creation of ISIS and everything that they've done in the Middle East has been one long psyop and like a ruse, and all you really have to do is look at all of the seeming, wars that we've been involved in. All the pretexts for them are extremely suspicious. Like how we came to be involved in World War I, Pearl Harbor, super weird when you dig into that. Like we knew they were coming and we let it happen. And in fact, that's why we didn't have our best fleet ships in Pearl Harbor. We had like our old outdated ones, just enough to inflict damage to rally the American public into going to war, because Roosevelt ran on no new foreign wars, like all these promises, and then, a day that will live in infamy, right? And then boom, now we're in World War II, Gulf of Tonkin. I mean, the list goes on and on. The list goes on and on and on. Yeah. Like that. You know what I mean? That's the kind of stuff that it's like, man, this lady's performing very poorly, but performing nonetheless. 9/11, bro. Like, how many people have done amazing research? Tucker Carlson did a 5-part series on that, Loose Change. And there's so much more. If you go back, there's these two Frenchmen that were doing a documentary on New York fire departments, and they were literally embedded with one fire department and got on the ground. They were actually recording a rookie as he went through like rookie training. I'll have to look it up and I'll tell you guys about it. But that was one of the first documentaries I saw in the fire academy while I was in the Marine Corps. And it blew my mind about 9/11. Like firefighters themselves saying things like hearing explosions, all sorts of issues. And so every time they've brought us into a war, the reason has been lacking and has been a lie. I think even World War I with Archduke Franz Ferdinand, like that's suspicious in and of itself too, Let's see. Do you think the war in Iran is over? The Stargate. That's interesting. That's an interesting. I think that in order for the ruling elite to go to war, and that so much is riding on it, it's never one thing, right? They're never doing anything for one reason. There's like always multiple outcomes and even multiple possible outcomes they are contingent for. And I think that's I hadn't thought about that. That could be part of it. Yeah. One of the first videos I'm going to play real quick is Baron talking about that guy and that, going into the Middle East was a psyop, and that, the war in Iran is like the final part of it, right? Or one of the final parts, because we still have like Jordan, possibly Saudi Arabia, Turkey. There's some other countries still left to possibly overthrow, and take control of. And then I'm going to reference a lady named Carol Rosen. If you guys know Stephen Greer, so my brain, I found out I have a condition called misophonia. It's the inability to cancel out background noise as like white noise. And so my brain is hyper focused on, I think I've said this before, like AMR things like drive me insane. So people's like saliva, their lips smacking, chewing gum, eating, drinking, gulping. It's just a thing that is not intentional. I don't want to have that. It's difficult, but I found out that because of that condition, they've done studies on these individuals, and the inability to cancel out background noises, white noise, has to do with my brain, like over analyzing, not like over in a negative way, but just like hyper analyzing everything around me, where most brains will determine people chewing, lip smacking, things like that as nonsense background noise, and their brain cancels it out, and they're able to ignore it and move on. My brain isn't able to do that. And because of that, I'm able to connect things that other people may not connect. And I'm not the only one. There's like a huge part of the population that has this. But so I'm really deep into the UFO, UAP, investigation. I follow Jesse Michaels, Joe Rogan, Julian Dory, Danny Jones, Stephen Greer, a lot of individuals. Stephen Greer interviewed Carol Rosen. She was the personal assistant to Wernher von Braun. And on many interviews, and I didn't find the correct one right now, but it's at least going to give us a portion of what she's saying, and then I can fill in the blanks for the rest. On what Wernher von Braun said, the plan was back in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and would be continuing on until the final card, and that they had this plan, right? And I forget who said it today, that you and I plan in days, weeks, months, and years, and the ruling elite plan in centuries, right? Because of their involvement in secret societies, their ability to marry their families, they intermarry their families to one another. So information, money, power, and control stay together within these families. They're able to plan on a timeline that far exceeds ours. And so it's not outside the realm of possibility and plausibility that certain individuals would have been planning something in 2026, way back in the 1960s, 70s, 80s, and so on. And we're going to look at that. But let me read this right here. We got, the war in Iraq was definitely over ancient items. It was part of it. Yes, like 100%. They raided the museums right away. They were also looking for the tomb of Gilgamesh and found it. Hillary Clinton was obsessed with finding the tomb and the body of Gilgamesh, Nimrod. And also, yes, they stole a lot of ancient artifacts out of the museums in Baghdad and in Iraq. And that for sure was a part of it. But that wasn't the only and the sole main reason. But it was a major part of it, right? And that's what I meant earlier, is that they're never going to do something just for one reason, right? It serves multiple purposes simultaneously. The Patriot Act, right? So it hyper terrorized the public. It's when they developed the term, a war on terror, not a war on terrorism, not a war on terrorists, a war on terror. Make that make sense. So yeah, always multiple reasons, right? It also greatly enriched the military industrial complex, Dick Cheney, Halliburton, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, and it goes on, right? $100,000 for a toilet seat, $200,000 for a hammer. It's never one reason. All right, let's see. Bree, the setup looks dope, Matt. Thank you, Bree. It's going to look better shortly. We're going to put shelves here, and I have a bunch of like commendations and awards from my time in the Marine Corps that I've literally never had a place to put up. We'll put back up my like my diplomas and things, and then we'll put up some of my military commendations and like meritorious promotions and different things like that from my background, from my history. And it'll add depth, and it's going to be nice. And then we have like lighting that'll go over each one, so you guys will be able to pause and zoom in and then talk about it, which I find it really cool that everyone does, whether that be with like Candace's background or Ian's background or Baron's background. And not that I think I'm on their level. I know I'm not. But we have an awesome and growing community that cares about one another and is always seemingly interested in me. And this is kind of a way to throw in some Easter eggs back there. So, all right, let's get into it.
He writes, it's called Defying ISIS
by
Johnny Moore.
That's who it was.
Came out on April 21st, 2015, meaning it was written, produced, and released while he is working for a reality television show producer. That's what is going on right now. He writes a book, Preserving Christianity in the Place of Its Birth in Our Own Backyard, its own backyard. Christian genocide at the hands of Islamic extremists is unfolding in the Middle East. Entire Christian populations have been eliminated. The ultimate aim of ISIS is to eradicate the world of Christianity. They're well on their way. Thousands of Christians arrive in refugee camps as daily as tents can be seen for miles across the countryside of Jordan, northern Iraq, and Lebanon. Churches have been demolished, crosses burned, replaced with ISIS flags, home destroyed, entire communities displaced, religious conversions forced, human torture enacted, children removed, and all in plain sight. What a weird book to write while you're working for the producer of The Celebrity Apprentice. I'll be honest.
I agree.
What a weird book to write while you're working for Mark Burnett.
Yes.
What a weird thing to get involved with.
Yeah.
And so I started thinking to myself, like, this is the company. And while he was there writing this book, while this stuff was happening, Andrew Colvett was working right there with him. So close, in fact, that you'll remember Andrew Colvett.
So going back to my episode last week where I was questioning, not necessarily like the validity, but I just wanted to know, why would Mikey McCoy speak out and reach out, And I also understand that there's probably many possibilities that I haven't thought of, right? I wasn't drawing any conclusions from that. I just was noticing that it's super weird, especially like his wife and his dad are like so tied into TPUSA. His wife is pregnant. They have their first baby on the way. His wife is the one, Elizabeth McCoy, that did the aloe shopping supposedly, but also is the one that decided to have that the Charlie Kirk tent with the mic inside of a box with a picture of Charlie Kirk under the tent for people to take a picture of themselves. Super bizarre. I don't know. I don't get the impression that Mikey has a conscience. I don't. If anything, I don't know why he would do that. is my question. But after like seeing Zach and listening to Zach and Barron, they have 100% trust in Candace, and so do I. So do I. I just think it's weird that Mikey would do that, and I don't know why. That's like my question is like, why would he do that? And he did that back in like November, December timeframe before the meeting with Erica, which happened on December 15th. So that's just kind of weird, you know what I mean? But let's see if he gets to the part where I miss it. I hope I didn't miss it.
Joins the company in May of 2014 and leaves in October 2015. So while this book is being written, while it's being produced, while this Iraq Syrian thing is going on, while that's what Johnny Moore's doing, Andrew Colvett works at the same company. Like this is apparently what they're working on, or at least it's what Johnny Moore's working on. And we know that Johnny Moore and Andrew Colvett were close. Because you remember what Andrew Colvett said about leaving Kairos and going to work with Johnny Moore. We talked about it yesterday. I can't find the link to it right now, but we talked about it yesterday.
Man, what's hard? So because Barron was still live when I was watching, I think I've explained this before, until a live video is fully done and the full length of it is tallied in, when I timestamp it, and then I go back to that timestamp for the part that I want to show you guys, if he continued his live, that timestamp is now fully off. And so I'll have to, I don't want to just sit here and willy-nilly, hopefully it comes. But anyways, he mentions, he talks about, you know, ISIS being propped up by us, and that, you know, nothing was ever done. And then they just like disappeared and went away, and that it was all part of the ruse, you know? And so let's listen to Carol Rosen as she explains. Let's see all right, cool. And this is Carol Rosen. She was Warner von Braun's personal assistant. And like, yeah.
The strategy that Werner von Braun taught me was that first the Russians are going to be considered to be the enemy. In fact, when I met him in 74, they were the enemy, the identified enemy. We were told that they had killer satellites. We were told that they were coming to get us and control us, the dirty commies, that whole story. First, the Russians were the enemy against whom we're going to build space-based weapons. Then terrorists would be identified, and that was soon to follow. We heard a lot about terrorism. Then we were going to identify third world country crazies. We now call them nations of concern. But he said that would be the third enemy against whom we would be needing to build space-based weapons. And the next enemy was asteroids. Now, at this point, he kind of chuckled the first time he said it. Asteroids.
So, and like I said earlier, this is not the clip I really wanted to find, and I'm going to keep playing it, but I want to help you guys understand really the point that I'm drawing from this. In the previous clips, whether that be Stephen Greer retelling her story, I've seen so many with him and her, and then him telling her story, and then maybe I can show it. But initially, it had nothing to do with space-based weapons, right? So when she initially told the story and Stephen Greer had her on, or he retold the story, it was moreover their plan, you know, the ruling elite's plan for control to eventually get to a one world government, right? And that first it would be, and we always have to have an enemy for the military industrial complex to have a reason to exist. And, you know, without an enemy, right, there's no real need for all this military buildup, right? And that also kind of, if you guys have heard of the Hegelian dialectic, so let me pull this up. Zach talked about this before. Hold on, let me get it bigger so you guys can see it. Okay. The Hegelian dialectic, right? It has to do, I'm going to read down here. It's well, this is the little the different little pictures, right? Thesis, antithesis, synthesis. Oh, okay. And then yeah, it's hold on. This isn't the one that's going to confuse me for a second, but debate with conflict and discussing opposing perspective. Mind creates knowledge expansion. So conflict plus synthesis equals knowledge expansion. Here is where it breaks it down in the better way that I've known it. It's problem, reaction, solution, right? And John Gottlieb, yeah, let's see. Important correction. Hegel himself didn't actually lay it out neatly as thesis and antithesis, synthesis. That phrasing came later, mainly from John Gottlieb Fichte, and others interpreting him. But the pattern of development through contradiction is accurate to Hegel's thinking, right? For Hegel, this wasn't a manipulation tactic. It was how ideas, history, and societies evolve, how it's claimed to be used by elites. You often hear the idea framed like this: create or highlight a problem. So that's the thesis. Encourage or allow a reaction or opposition, antithesis, and then offer a solution that advances a desired agenda, synthesis. This version is commonly called problem, reaction, solution model. Okay. Now, going back here, now thinking about all of the different, wars that they've got us into, and the more that we find out about false flags and the whole reason for them getting us involved in these wars, it completely lines up with this Hegelian dialectic, this problem, reaction, solution. It also seems to fit right in with the Charlie Kirk assassination as well. Also the Butler, I think, fake assassination, and the White House correspondence, fake assassination attempt, right? I only say those two on the end because I do believe Charlie Kirk was actually assassinated, but I think those other two were fake assassination attempts. But I think, like in 9/11, there can be a real caused tragedy event, right? Like 9/11 or like the Charlie Kirk assassination, and use that and that be the problem, and then they control the reaction and solution. But it could also be with just a complete false kind of event like Butler or like the White House correspondence dinner. But in the original Stephen Greer and Carol Rosen interviews, what they said was this was their way to get to the final card, and that the final card would be a fake alien invasion. And there's a lot of that going around right now. Steven Spielberg even is releasing a movie, The Day of Disclosure, or Disclosure Day, and that's coming out in June. Also, a year had been floated for a very long time. April 2026 or April 2027 would be a year to change everything, right? And if you remember, I think it was Reagan, right, that was speaking in the UN when he said, I'm paraphrasing, I'm not quoting, but I often wonder that if the world was faced with an outside threat, would we not put down our petty differences, our national borders, and unite, as one humanity against this outside threat, right? And I'll find that at a later date and I'll pull it up. But, it's interesting, right, that even Werner von Braun spoke that this was the desired plan, and that they would start by, after World War II, Soviet Union would be the fake enemy, right? And in many ways they were. Like JFK wanted to, do away with them being the enemy, and he wanted to unite us. He wanted to have a joint space-based program. That's where that whole idea from the movie or that show on Apple For All Mankind comes from, that we would have a joint, space program. And in a way we kind of did. Like we've flown with each other on our rockets and theirs and come back on theirs. And but Kennedy really wanted it. He wanted us all to do away with nukes. There was a lot that Kennedy wanted to do that he was taken out. I mean, he was taken out for many reasons, just like Charlie Kirk was taken out for many reasons. It wasn't just one reason. But after the Soviet Union was, done being used as the scapegoat, the enemy, for our military buildup and for, to build up warheads and everything like that, then they were going to slowly topple 7 countries in 7 years, or it obviously didn't end up being 7 years, but it was like 7 countries in the Middle East over 30 years or something like that. And it was going to start with, like Kuwait, Iraq, and then Afghanistan. I mean, and then it would go on, kind of what we've seen, since 2001, right? And then after that, after the Middle East was toppled and done, then they would do the final card, and the final card would be this fake alien invasion, right? So let's finish listening to her.
Against asteroids, we're going to build space-based weapons. So it was funny then. And the funniest one of all was against what he called aliens, extraterrestrials. That would be the final card. And over and over and over during the 4 years that I knew him and was giving his speeches for him, he would bring up that last card. And remember, Carol, the last card is the alien card. We're going to have to build space-based weapons against aliens. And all of it, he said, is a lie. A lie. I think I was too naive to know at that time the seriousness of the nature of the spin that was being put on the system. And now the pieces are starting to fall into place. We're building a space-based weapon system based on a premise that is a lie, a spin. And Wernher von Braun was trying to hint that to me back in the early 70s and right up until the moment when he died in 1977. What he told me is that there's an accelerated effort in place. He didn't mention a timeline, but he said that it was going to be speeding up faster than anybody could possibly imagine. That the effort to put weapons in space was not only based on a lie, but would accelerate past the point of people even understanding it until it was already up there and too late. When von Braun was dying in front of me, the very first day that I met him, he had tubes draining out of his side. And he was tapping on the desk telling me, "You will come to Fairchild." I was a school teacher. "You will come to Fairchild and you will be responsible for keeping weapons out of space." And the way he said it with the intenseness in his eyes and
that's super interesting, right? And so in the previous appearances, like I said, and I'll find it and I'll show you guys at a different time, it didn't have this space-based weapon part of it. It had more to do with like a one world government and control. Like the space-based weapons was part of it, but it wasn't like the main part like it is in this interview. But that, and like I said, that they do many things for many reasons. Okay. All right. Let's move on. Oh, I thought it was so interesting today. Let's go to here. Ba, 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 ba. All right. Did you guys find it interesting that, let's see where it's at right here.
Started coming in regarding the Daily Wire layoffs, which began, I am told, on Thursday, actually continued through Friday. There's some indication they may actually be continuing through today. And it was an absolute bloodbath. Do not allow them to spin it. Okay, I'm talking entire departments, big people at the firm, lawyers at the firm, the chief operating officer, the executive vice president, virtually the entire marketing department, the production team has now been reduced to a mere skeleton crew. No one was safe. Not even Ben's team was safe. marked safe from it. Even a director on his team was fired. It was brutal. I have counted approximately 54 people who lost their jobs from top to bottom. And that's just in this wave, because this has been going on, as we all know, for a while. The writing has been on the wall for a while. It has been very strange, the worst kept secret in media, as they keep writing, having people publish these articles that just defy reality. We were having private conversations like, how long can they keep up this charade and keep pretending that this is not happening when everyone can see the numbers? We can see how the
Yeah. So, I mean, we all know, right? Like, oh, Benji boy, like I don't know how anyone takes him seriously and actually watches him and values his opinion on anything. He's very hard to watch and listen to, let alone, it's just like going to always be these standard responses that you can tell he has this specific, slant to everything. And it's not just the honest truth, right? And, Daddy's been, in my opinion, like Candace has said, buying his views, buying his importance and his relevance, and it's slowly fading away. So I agree. Let's see. Let's go to this part, and then we'll get to the interview, because I thought this was interesting. And if you guys haven't seen this, I recommend you go watch this, okay? This is the Tucker Carlson New York Times interview, and it is super good and very interesting. Let me see if I did the right time. Yes.
And how they're going to land.
Let me back up.
Why?
I don't know about that, but okay, he said naughty things about this, that, or the other thing. Okay.
No.
I'm good at defending the New York Times, but I think the real issues are not about Fuentes or even about race. Immigration has a direct effect on economics.
So she, once again, as always, is attacking Tucker Carlson for doing an interview with Nick Fuentes, right? And then she compares it to the Ted Cruz, Mike Huckabee interviews, where Tucker didn't ask for background information from Ted Cruz and Mike Huckabee. Oh, but she says like, yeah, but you asked him where he's from and what he did. And Tucker's like, I'd never met him before. I literally didn't even know who he was. And yeah, so for me and for my audience, we wanted to understand who he was and where he came from. But with Ted Cruz, who's a public figure, and Mike Huckabee, who Tucker's known for over 30-something years, he didn't need to ask that background information. Even though this New York Times reporter was, I think, much more fair and honest, she clearly still was a mainstream propagandist New York Times reporter that was asking slanted questions that were trying to dig at Tucker Carlson for no reason other than he's a free thinker and he doesn't do what they all want him to do. And it's like her attempt to, out him on her interview with him. And I think it's ridiculous, but he handles it great.
And so the overwhelming majority of newly created jobs in the past 5 years have gone to foreign born. So like it's not an attack on the foreign born to say that's not really the job of the U.S. government to provide economic opportunity to the world. The job is to protect its own people.
I can tell you don't want to talk about Fuentes.
Well, I don't have what to say.
Okay,
I just think okay, he said naughty things about this, that, or the other thing. Okay.
No, well, you caused a big. I'm focusing on you. This is an interview of you.
I didn't cause anything. People got hysterical. How can you talk to this man?
When I talked to people. Brought Fuentes onto your show.
I've interviewed Ted Cruz, who's calling for the murder of innocents. I don't think Fuentes is doing that.
But that conversation was pretty friendly.
You say that. I mean, whatever. Okay, I'm naughty for talking to Fuentes, but
you've been doing this for decades. I mean, I have watched you and your shows for a very long time. And you obviously have a very savvy understanding of how to approach your interviews and how they're going to land.
This lady is so unbelievable. She's saying that Tucker Carlson knowingly, intentionally, with forethought, and premeditation, did a fluff piece interview on Fuentes because he knew how it was going to land with the public, but that with Huckabee and Ted, he did a more adversarial, interrogative type interview because it was going to land better with the public. Yeah, no, sweetheart. I think it's just that Ted Cruz and Mike Huckabee are disgusting people and deserve a real interrogative approach with their ideas. And no one calls them on the things they say, the things they claim. And that was a chance for Tucker to do that. And what he was trying to do with Nick was allow Nick to air out all of his thoughts and opinions and let the audience decide. I just watch.
No, why?
I don't know about that, but yeah.
Well,
I don't think I'm that savvy. Maybe I'm underselling myself.
I mean, why did you want to handle it the way that you did? You started with.
Well, I've explained this a million times, but I'll explain it very crisply.
No, you started,
No, I noticed that no one
talking
wants
about his background and where he grew up. It's a different kind of interview than the one when I look at Ambassador Huckabee.
I've known Huckabee for over 30 years. Huckabee's been a public figure for over 30 years.
But one was prosecutorial.
Twice,
you were building a case. The other one was friendly. I mean, you were wrestling quite vigorously with.
If I agreed with everything Fuentes said, I would just say so. Like, there's no the effort to kind of like divine my motives. When I state my motives clearly, I think I'm telling the truth.
I know, but as you have acknowledged in this interview,
let me just state my motives.
You use questions sometimes as a form of.
If I could just state my motives,
attack.
And you can either believe me or not. And I've done this many times, but I'll do it once more and say, I'd never heard of Fuentes. I first heard him because he was attacking me and my family, which enraged me. I did fall for the bait. And so then I thought, well, this guy seems like, I keep hearing he's very influential. Let's have him on, hear what he has to say. So I did that. And on the question of hating Jews because they're Jews, I'm opposed. Told him that to his face.
Yep.
Lots of people decided that I should have taken a different tone. Okay, do your own interview with Fuentes if you want.
Yeah.
That's okay with me.
Yep.
But I guess what I've come to believe, I didn't feel it was a significant interview, especially on any level, except the extent it was used to try and make me into a Nazi, which again, I'm not, I would admit it. But what I think is interesting is the kind of moral scheme that interview revealed, which not surprisingly is childish and kind of repulsive. And by moral scheme, I mean like what the people in charge, including in journalism, think is right and wrong. So I think anyone who calls for the murder of innocents or justifies them is the lowest possible person. There's nothing worse than that, than killing kids.
And Mike Huckabee and Ted Cruz are calling for that. And they are. And they're advocating for it, and they're justifying it, and they're defending it. Man, I don't know what happened with my lighting. I look all pink all of a sudden. Let me see. Hold on. I don't know. I'll leave it how it is. Hopefully I don't look too red. All right. Let me read this, and then we're going to move on to the next thing. You think Tucker Carlson is CIA? He lied about his father. How did he lie about his father? He always was upfront and honest that his father was in the CIA. What do you mean? How did he lie about his father? I don't think Tucker's CIA. If he's CIA, he's really bad at it. I mean, just look back. Are you saying he was in CIA when he was at Fox? Why did he have the falling out with Fox? Do you think that's fake? And why then does he do the pieces that he does, and he chooses the material and the content to cover that he does? I don't think he's CIA, but that's just my personal opinion. All right, let's get into the meat of it. Oh, wait, I do want to tell you guys this, because this is just something I learned the other day, and I find it interesting. How many of you guys are parents of younger children that play with like squishies, fidgets, plastic toys, whether they're on the spectrum or not, right? My kids love like the squishies, and they have a bunch of them. And a lot of them are being made overseas, and they're not going through the proper checks and balances to make sure that they are not having toxic VOCs emitted off of them. And so let me read this to you guys. So common VOCs, right? So volatile organic compounds, VOCs. These are chemicals that easily evaporate into the air. They off-gas from materials like plastics, foams, paints, and adhesives, including some kids' toys like squishies, slime, and soft rubber items, okay? Here are some of the main ones that have been detected in certain low-quality or counterfeit toys, right? Formaldehyde, benzene, toluene, xylene, phthalates. Yeah. And so there's this device that I'm going to get, and you put this device. It's almost like, have you seen one of those like, the readers that is looking for like, not radiology. Why I can't think of the word right now. Radioactive, pollution, right? And there's like, I forget what that's called. It's like something meter or whatever. They have something like that, but for like toxic chemicals. And you can put like these plastic toys in a bag with this reader to determine whether or not it's giving off toxic levels of these VOCs, and make sure that they're safe for your kids. So I would check into that. I'm going to check into that, and I'll let you know what I find. But just be aware that a lot of that is happening with these fidgets, squishies, slime, and other toys that are being made like in China and overseas, and aren't getting the proper checks and balances like they should and like they used to. All right. Let's see. Let me go here. All right. Now, this is the main meat and potatoes of the show today. All right.
Nice to meet you. Yeah.
All right. This is going to be Brandy and Billy from the Brandy and Billy Show. I think they live on the ground in Utah. This is what their handle and their channel sign and title looks like. They do a lot of investigative work in Orem. They go to the hearings. They interview witnesses. They speak to Lance Twiggs, Tyler Robinson's family at these hearings, and then they report on them. So if you don't know them, go ahead, go to their channel, give them a like, give them a follow, give them a subscribe. They do come out with very good content regarding these like court cases and appearances. They're the ones that interviewed Tyler Robinson's grandfather, or no, sorry, that was Elizabeth Lane. But Elizabeth Lane and Brandy and Billy both go to these hearings. But Elizabeth Lane is good too. I'd give her a like, follow, and subscribe. But this is Brandy and Billy. Do that for them.
Nice to meet you too.
I have Travis here, and he actually was at the event the day of the shooting. He may be called as a witness in the future, so they asked him to step out of this one. Brandy and I, we didn't have to step out, but we chose to, just to join this live stream, whereas Travis was asked to. Well, you were...
I talked to the prosecutor, and he said I should.
Yeah, he was advised to leave. But so you were saying that you were pretty close to Charlie that day?
Yeah, I was standing 50 feet to his right, just south of him.
Yeah. And I know it affected you pretty deeply. Travis was pretty upset. We saw him in the courtroom, and this has been really hard for him. But you were considering maybe even asking Charlie a question that day, and you were trying to find the line. Is that right?
Yeah, I was trying to find the line, and it was really difficult. There was a lot of confusion as to where it started. And so I made my way as close as you could possibly get where the barricade was. And one of Charlie's staff came to me, and she told me I needed to back off a little bit because that was a private area. So I did. And I told her I couldn't find the line. And she said Charlie's team would come find me and help me find it. But then they never did.
When the first question was being asked, you were trying to find the line. You got up to the barricade. they said, hey, you can't be this like close, you need to back up. And you're like, I'm just trying to find the line. And she, instead of directing you to the line, she then said, don't worry about it, we'll come find you later.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I just got part way into this
That's the
second question or second debate. And I decided to stop filming, which I'm glad I did. And I just stared at Charlie when he's being asked about transgender mass shooters. And then he started to answer. And then I heard a snap, like a crack, like a firecracker. And then a split second later.
So isn't that interesting? Like many of the people on the ground that day, they report hearing what sounded like a firecracker. I will say that to an untrained ear, to an untrained individual that's not used to firing a weapon or hearing a gunshot, most people would compare the hearing of a gunshot to the closest thing that they know that they've heard. And that's what the brain does, right? It is analyzing information as it comes in really fast. And it's like cross-referencing it with previous experiences to see if it knows what this is, right? And it compares it. And so a lot of people that day, whether it be because it actually sounded or was some sort of, not a weapon, but a firecracker or a noise being played through the audio, or it actually was a rifle being fired. But people would just characterize it, especially to an untrained ear, that it would be a firecracker. However, what you're going to hear is that this guy used to be a police officer, which is really weird then that he would not know what a gunshot sounds like. Okay. There's a lot of weird things. This is going to be a good interview for us to break down, guys. So buckle up. It's just getting started.
I saw him go limp and lean over to the left. And everybody froze and crouched. And it took a second to register that what I was saying was real.
I'm sorry. I know you said you don't like being hugged. But...
And I tried to get out of there as fast as I could. And there was a woman with her baby in the stroller. She was trying to get out as well. And then when I got inside, I called 911.
Okay, so for me, you guys, I'm going to try my best as a grown man with a wife and kids, but also with my life experience to be objective here. And I might run the risk of offending people, and I apologize ahead of time, but this whole interview is very, very bizarre. I think that this individual is extremely unstable. Accepting comfort from a stranger who is a young lady and you're a grown man, it's going to get more weird. This is just the beginning, let alone he didn't know Charlie. This interview happened months after the assassination. He's showing more grief for Charlie's death than his wife has, or Andrew Colvin or Blake Neff for that matter. And I think it is out of pocket. It's out of place, man. And it's just it's very bizarre. And we'll continue.
And I couldn't get through. And so then I hung up, and then dispatch called me back, and they couldn't hear me, but I could hear them. And then I hung up, and then they called me back a third time. And then that's when I told them, and they said officers were on the way.
Are you angry?
I'm not, I'm not as much anger as just wishing it didn't happen. And I kind of wish it would have happened to me instead of him.
No, you can't say that.
I know. Because he has a family, and I don't have much family.
No, you cannot look at it like that. I'm serious. No, come here. I'll be your family.
Does he work at the school? How did you end up at the event to begin with?
I live close by, and I'd been following Charlie Kirk, watching all his YouTube debates. And so I was really impressed with how respectful he was and what he stood for, his faith. And so I wanted to see him in person and talk to him and tell him about my background, because, he talked about college being a scam, and I'm in a lot of debt, with student loans and stuff. And also, want to tell him how I grew up in Utah County in the 90s, and how much it's changed over time, and how left-wing ideology is finding its way into Provo and BYU and all that kind of stuff. And I wanted to tell him about that and ask him what he thought.
And are you also comfortable sharing what one of your past jobs was that has to do with that area?
Yeah. So I'm a former Utah Valley University police officer.
So that's weird. He's a former UVU police officer. Check that.
I was a reserve police officer just for a couple of months, but I was also working full time at a different security job and playing bass guitar in a rock band, and so my mind wasn't quite on it. And then I went back to school and got my degree from UVU in legal studies.
What year was the UVU police?
I was a police officer in 2007.
You don't happen to know any of the police officers that are still there, do you?
No, because it's a completely different chief, and as far as I know, it's completely different officers than what it was, because it was so long ago.
Right. So you wouldn't happen to know who Jeff Long is?
I don't recognize the name. No.
Yeah, he's the current chief of police, or at least he was at that time.
Yeah, Chief Long.
Because you had mentioned that you watched the Brian Harple interview on Sean Ryan, where Brian Harple, Charlie Kirk's head of security, he brings up text messages with the UVU chief of police, Jeff Long, but I guess you wouldn't know him.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with him. I was upset at what he shared about how the chief of police told him the rooftop was covered and then it wasn't.
Right. And actually, this is interesting. So, as I'm sure you guys have gathered, we have been speaking with Travis. We were sitting next to him in the...
Well, hold on. So I thought she was going to mention that little point that he made out. Remember, so Brian Harple never sent the text to Chief Long. That was Dan Flood. Okay. Brian Harple misrepresented in the Sean Ryan interview that it was like a text between Brian Harple and Chief Long. In the Gary Melton interview, he'll correct the record and say that that's not what he was saying. And he'll be like, this was a text between Dan Flood and Chief Long. Barron has pointed out, and I've pointed out many times over, that Chief Long gave them everything they requested. They were speaking merely about the roof that was up behind Charlie. They asked for it to be designated a temporary criminal no trespass zone, for it to be like corned off, which it was. It had caution tape. No one could go on there. And they allowed for one of Brian Harple's security team members to be up there, and they put a police officer up there. What really that text was attempting to do was deal with the issue of when the public and prior military individuals looked at the event, they immediately concluded that the security team failed on many measures that day. One of the main ones, you guys, especially after Butler, someone as prominent as Charlie Kirk, how could any roof within a reasonable shooting distance not be completely sectioned off, closed off to the public, or put a security team member or a police, UVU or local police member up on the roof? So in an attempt to defend themselves, they misrepresented this text between Dan Flood and Chief Long and acted like they brought up the issue of the roofs, all the roofs. I don't like all the roofs, Charlie. There's too many roofs. Remember Frank Turek? Too many roofs, Charlie. I don't like it. In an attempt to, defend the record of the security team, like their whole job was done by bringing it to Chief Long. And that at that point, it was then Chief Long's responsibility to cover every roof that was there. No, no. You were asking about a specific roof, and you were asking about rocks being thrown down onto Charlie from above back there. And Chief Long gave them everything they asked for and more. Okay. And that was Brian's attempt to be like, oh, we did our part. You know, we didn't drop the ball. We brought it up. And at that point, you know, what am I supposed to do? Someone in a command authority said that they got me. And then, you know, they didn't get me. So that's on Chief Long. So dishonest, right? And so whether this guy knows that or he's misinformed, I don't know, but he just retold that misinformation.
Hearing, and actually it was Travis that we were debating with. We were whisper debating with Travis when one of Robinson's family members turned around and started speaking to us, asking us to keep it down a little bit. So you are fully under the impression that you believe everything that's come out in regards to Robinson being the accused shooter, correct?
Yeah. I'm believing it, but with an open mind, pretty much.
Yeah.
There's a lot of thoughts that go through my mind of like how, in some ways, how unfair it is. A lot of the conspiracies that are being spread around with people that were not there and are not a part of the investigation, and so, to a degree, it seemed like they're taking.
Hey, look, buddy, just because you were there doesn't mean you have more of a right to tell everyone what to think, what happened and what didn't happen, right? That's like what was his name? Like, have you ever been to Egypt? I forget that interview. Oh my gosh, that debate. Man, or was it like Egypt or the Middle East? Well, if you haven't, or Philly, yeah, something like that. Well, if you haven't been, then you can't speak on it. It's like, that's just as like an appeal to authority. Like, I don't need to go to a place to have an opinion on it. I don't need to be at the event to have an opinion on it. You're not part of the investigation either, buddy. And just because you were there doesn't mean what you believe happened that day is any more a statement of fact, or closer to the truth than any of our opinions, right? It just is one more part in this little interview that like he's up there saying like, I'm to be believed, I'm to be trusted, others aren't. Listen to me. I was there that day. I will tell you what happened, right? And he's already being like, oh, yes, I believe that Tyler did it, but an open mind. Look, man, there's less evidence to believe that he did it than there's evidence to believe that he didn't, right? And so for me, I'm believing that he didn't do it, but I still have an open mind, like Barron and others, that if enough evidence ever comes out that like 100% shows that he did it, then yeah, like we will all be the first to say, okay, yeah, he did it then. But I doubt that's going to happen. Any evidence that was going to be that strong should have been brought forth already.
Advantage of tragedy, and they don't have to deal with the trauma and that kind of stuff. And it's just hard for me to digest because I only have enough bandwidth mentally and emotionally to absorb what I experienced firsthand and try to heal and get closure from it, let alone take in everything that's happening on the internet and social media.
Did he go to the event with anyone that day?
No, I went by myself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so
we have a super chat here. Hold on one second. We have a super chat here. They're asking, did he notice anything unusual while he was there? Like people or things or drones or anything like that?
Brandy and Billy are dual collabing, streaming with a couple other people. I'm not even going to mention their names, but yeah, that's who you hear in the chat. I mean, in the audio.
Well, the main unusual thing was, actually, I just came to my mind. So I signed up by getting a free ticket online with the barcode and I got the email with the barcode that I was under the impression that you'd scan it with security to get into the event. And I walked all the way through campus and opened the door from the inside area to the outside area to the courtyard. And there was no security or employees screening me when I came in. And I thought that was really odd.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Yeah, I think a lot of people did mention that. However, like bringing up his, it was really interesting. He's like, yeah, I was a reserve police officer for the UVU police for a couple months. But then he said, and then I worked at another security job. I don't know that he was actually a UVU police officer or if he was one of the security guards at UVU, right? Because then right after saying he was a reserve UVU police officer, he then says, and I worked at another, as if to say the same thing, but a different one. And he says security guard, right? So I found that interesting, but I mean, yeah.
People have thought that that's pretty odd, the lack of security there.
Yeah, and it seemed somewhat disorganized where the line started to debate him, and then one person at the other tent that was north of where Charlie's tent was, she said it was going to be about 4 hours long, and then the staffer told me it was going to just be a couple hours, so it just seemed kind of inconsistent, like not everybody was on the same page and they didn't have everything lined up.
So what section was he in? And then did he stay in that spot or did he have to relocate?
Glenn Coco, I love you. Have you been there? Douglas Murray, have you been there? Yeah. Guess what? I found out that, oh my gosh, of course I just blanked on it. Daryl Cooper. Do you guys know who Daryl Cooper is? Yes. No. Maybe so. Do you guys know who Daryl Cooper is? Let's see if I can pull it up. He's got a really dope channel. He's been on he's been on Rogan. He's been on, I think, Julian Dory, Danny Jones podcasts. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, Daryl Cooper. Hold on. Let me show his face. Let me get to here. There we go. Oh, that's not a flattering picture of you, buddy. Hold on. There you go. That's better. That's better. That's me. I'm not Daryl Cooper. Hold on. But we're both white and he's got more hair than me. I shave my head though, guys. Please never call me bald. I'll just intentionally grow my hair out to show you I'm not bald. All right, but this is Daryl Cooper. I found out he lives up by me, and someone was like, I can connect you to Daryl Cooper, and you guys should connect. I don't know if you guys would be interested in something like that. I do have the equipment to do like an interview with him, so that would be cool. That was a side note because we were talking about, have you been there? And you said, what was his name? Douglas Murray, and that made me think of Daryl Cooper. And that's how my brain works. Sorry. All right, back to the show. Shotgunner, this guy looks like he's scared of his own fart. It's going to get really weird when a 20-something-year-old girl takes off her own mittens and gives them to a grown man with hand tattoos and a septum piercing, and he accepts them and then allows Brandy or Billy. I always mix the two up. It's one of them's not there, one of them's there, or they're both there, but one of them's on camera, one of them's off camera because the other one comes on camera. But he accepts her mittens and puts them on and then allows this young lady to be in the same weather without mittens. And I was like, bro, what are you doing? Like, this just was like the most bizarre interview ever.
Well, at first I was in front of Charlie's tent on the ledge because there's different levels that went down to his tent, and I was on like the highest level.
To his right or left?
Well, directly in front of him at first, and then I kept walking around to Charlie's right, and then I went down the different levels closer to where the actual barricade, as close as you could physically get to Charlie to his right. And that's when the staffer came up to me and said, hey, you need to move back a little bit. So I moved back and I was standing 50 feet away from him.
And that's weird, you guys. That is weird. So he was trying to get so close to Charlie that one of the security team members was like, what are you doing? You need to back up and go back that way. That's a little weird to me. Okay, just a side note. Yeah, I saw this. It was really weird. It's also really weird when he says that his therapist called him and was like, bro, you can't call me. I'm not your therapist anymore. I discontinued services with you. Can you imagine why a therapist would have to do that? So we'll get to that. That's coming. Hold on. Buckle up.
Did they give you a reason why? I'm surprised that it seemed like it was just kind of a free-for-all there.
Yeah, because the section, if I remember correctly, there was the barricades immediately surrounding Charlie's tent, but then there was a grassy area with another barricade, but it had an opening, and I went around the opening because there was no signs or nothing indicating that I wasn't allowed to go in there, and there was nobody screening me or saying, hey.
Yeah, but if you've ever been to an event, ladies and gentlemen, so if I were to pull up video from that day, that is the line where the questioners come in and then the questioners leave. So you have a front barricade with a space in between where the mic is so that there's no barrier in between the questioner and Charlie Kirk. And then you have that area of grass where the questioners come up, they shuffle to the mic, and then they leave and exit the other side. And then behind them is the bike rack barricade barrier that holds the main crowd back. And if he had ever watched or been to any previous event, he would know that that's what those are for. And if he just used his observation skills, he would see that that's what's happening. It's clearly like the line for the questioners to get to the mic, get on the mic, and then leave. But he's like, no, I saw that, and I was trying to just sneak my way down there, which is even more bizarre. Like he was going to try to sneak his way in to be a questioner, which was his intent. He said at the beginning of this interview, he wanted to talk to Charlie and tell him, XYZ about his past and about UVU and all these other things. So he was trying to get very, very close to Charlie. I don't know why, but he wanted to get face to face right in front of Charlie at the mic.
Don't go there. So I went as close as you physically could get. And then that's when the staffer came up to me and said, I need to move that. I was in a private area.
He just said it.
She gave me the impression it was reserved for, I don't know, VIP or people that were maybe new Turning Point or anything like that. So that's when I moved further back and listened to her. She actually walked with me and where I finally stood 50 feet away. And then that's when she told me Charlie's team was going to get back to me and find me and help me find the line to debate him.
Have you been following any of the alternative ideas of what may have happened to Charlie besides the official FBI narrative?
Yeah, I come across a lot of different things. And the thing that they've called conspiracies that makes the most sense to me is about the caliber of the rifle and how it couldn't have, if the caliber they said it would have had an exit, would have gone all the way through. That's the thing that makes the most sense. But the theory that was being thrown around that doesn't is that he was shot by a handgun by somebody 10 or 20 feet away. And the video that somebody shared with me was to Charlie's right where I was standing. So I would have been really, really close to that person that supposedly shot with the handgun. And I clearly.
So that's not even true, right? So to Charlie's right, that's where Brian Harpel, Frank Turek, and that part of the stands are. Okay. No, I don't know anyone that said a handgun was fired from Charlie's right, unless it was one of the BS theories that Charlie was shot from the right, from behind, and that what we saw was an exit wound. I mean, a lot of those, they were easily debunked right away. But I think he's referencing Rick Cutler, but that would have been to Charlie's left. And he's saying he's way over here on Charlie's right. And now he's saying, like, no, I'm firsthand account that no one had a handgun, which I don't believe they did anyway. But I think that it's kind of insane that he's trying to say that he was there in this area where people are claiming a handgun was fired, but he was there and he would have heard or seen it. When obviously, if anyone fired a handgun, which I don't think they did, but if they did from the crowd, they would have had to have been just left of center all the way over to the left-hand side of Charlie because of where the wound was. You know what I mean? MRK, him saying he's a cop, then crying so easily during interviews is kind of backwards, right? Right. And just his demeanor is kind of off. Weird for sure. It gets more weird. Get ready.
Really heard a shot come from far away, not up close.
Now he said he's positive he heard a shot come from far away. In the beginning of this interview, he said that he heard what sounded like a firecracker. That's what he said. It's just going to slowly evolve into him defending, spouting the FedSlop narrative story. So, yeah, I don't trust this guy.
You don't think it could have been played through the speakers or something else? There's been all sorts of different theories, little, explosions, different things.
Or maybe that a gun was shot on the roof, but not in that direction. So everyone heard a gunshot from that location, but that might have not necessarily been the gun that shot Charlie, if it was a gun at all.
Yeah.
This was one of the weirdest parts in the interview for me. This was so bizarre. I mean, they're sweet, Brandy and Billy, and obviously they're being very thoughtful and courteous to him. But come on, man, they're young ladies. She's very thin. She needs those gloves. Look at her hands, her poor little hands. I'm a grown man. Someone's going to give me gloves. Like, first off, he knew he was going to be there that day. Like, bring your own gloves, homie. Number two, she offers gloves. You just respectfully go, oh, thank you so much. No, that's okay. I'm fine. Put your gloves in your jacket pocket when you're not talking. Switch the mic off, like hold it in one hand, put that hand in your pocket, and then rotate as your hand gets cold. But accepting the mittens from this young lady is so weird to me. It's just so weird to me.
At the very least, I'm positive it was a gunshot from a rifle from far away, and because I was facing Charlie's right, so I was to the south of Charlie, but I was facing north.
Glenn Coco, stop it! You're gonna kill me. Dumb and Dumber. He's like, yeah, I got an extra pair right here, and gives him the gloves. His hands are like freezing. He's like, you've had an extra pair of gloves this whole time? He goes, yeah, we're in Aspen or something like that. Like, yeah, it's freezing out here. Duh. And then he loses it on him. And that's when he chucks the briefcase at him and it pops open and they find all the money. Such a good clip. Oh my gosh. I want to watch that. That's such a good movie.
I heard the shot come from my right ear, because my right ear was facing east.
See, his story slowly evolves into the official FedSlop narrative story. Initially, it was a firecracker, and it sounded like a crack, and he couldn't really tell the location. Then he's like, oh, no, I definitely heard a shot that came far away. Now he for sure heard a gunshot from his right ear, which is facing the Losi Center. If he's on the right side of Charlie and he's standing facing Charlie, that means his right ear would be facing the Losi Center. And so now he's just slowly turning his story into the official story.
And that's where, the investigators in the news said that Tyler Robinson was on the rooftop.
Better believe him.
So it kind of lines up with what I heard from that direction. And I've been firearm trained. I've qualified with firearms, and I've been shooting since I was a kid. So
Do you have military experience?
No.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Look, I don't know that being a reserve police officer for a couple months and being a security guard really like gives you the kind of expertise to be claiming to be somewhat of an expert on identifying sounds, calibers, locations of, you know, a gun being fired or a sound that sounds like a gun. And so now he is appealing to authority, right? That's an argument. He's appealing to authority. I was a reserve police officer, security guard. I was firearm trained. I grew up firing weapons. So you should believe me when I tell you that with my right ear, I heard what sounded like a rifle shot come from the direction of the Losi Center. So believe me. Yeah. I don't know, man. A grown man that accepts mittens from a young lady when it's cold outside. Oh, although I just can't.
I have a question. When we were sitting behind Robinson's family, did you know that was Robinson's family?
The person with the white beard kind of looked familiar, that you pointed him out in the hallway of the courthouse, that it was Tyler's father. And so I think that was his father, but I couldn't see fully his face, but I just suspected it was.
How did you feel when that family member, which I don't want to say which one it was, turned around and was like, hey, can you guys maybe keep down a little bit?
I was very embarrassed. She put her hand on my leg, and she kept touching my leg, and like she was trying to comfort me.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been to a lot of concerts, so I have some hearing loss, but I didn't hear 100% of everything she said. But she looked me in the eyes, and from what I could hear, said that I'm sorry about what you went through.
Yeah, she seemed very, very, very sweet.
Yeah, she's very sweet, and I said I apologized to her, and she basically said that's okay, you know. Yeah, I felt sorry for his family too.
Yeah.
So what are you doing now at this point to, whether it's like with other people that were there, because there's a lot of witnesses, obviously. Are you like in any groups for therapy?
This was such a good question, and just buckle up.
What are you doing to kind of like work through this?
Well, I was telling them that, like, just hours before I witnessed Charlie's murder, I had a falling out with my therapist of 5 years. He basically emailed me that morning, said he doesn't want to see me anymore. And then I witnessed Charlie pass away in front of me. And it, you know, I had a therapist's office say, we'll give you 4 free sessions if you were at a witness at the event. And I started that, and it just didn't feel right. And I went through 4 different therapists before I find the right one.
That is strange. Okay. So I'm not picking on this grown man, first of all, or victim in any way, but can you imagine what it would take for a therapist to email you and say, we're cutting ties. I can't give you services anymore. I could only imagine. And then offered free services, which is interesting. I'd love to know what organizations or churches, or was it UVU, were behind whatever counseling office this was, offering services to the witnesses, and what ties they had to different places. Like, is this them trying to, you know, find out information from witnesses that didn't come forward officially? It's an interesting statement, but that then it didn't feel right to him. And then he went through 4 more therapists before finding the current one, I guess, or the one that he ended up seeing. It's just, yeah, not typical. Very, very odd.
And I just barely started EMDR, which, you know, I have to bring up traumatic events in the EMDR therapy, and it was so intense that I started hyperventilating, and the therapist kept saying, "You're safe, you're safe, you're safe." And I couldn't do it again because it was so intense. And then I was seeing a psychiatrist in Orem, and we were on the main floor, and while I was in his office, someone dropped something heavy on the floor above us. And I immediately, it triggered my memory of hearing the gunshot, and I was afraid.
I'm sorry that you have to go through that.
Yeah, that's PTSD, and I'm very sorry as well.
Thanks. Yeah, and I'm just, I went a while, a good, I only saw that therapist that had the right fit recently in the last few weeks, so I had to go a good couple months without anybody helping me, guiding me through it as far as a professional therapist. So it's been tough. I've not coped with it the best I could.
But you do have someone now that you're like, you actually like them, and you're finally seeing someone again.
Yeah, and I contacted the prosecutor office, and they referred me out to the Utah Bureau of Investigations, and I submitted a witness statement with them. And
that's weird. That's weird. So you guys, out of like 3,000 and something people there, less, like 100 or less, like a small amount have ever like even attempted to come forward. And I find it very interesting that this is one of the kind of individuals, or this individual himself is one of the individuals that reached out to the prosecution to give a witness statement, not the defense. Yeah, it's just weird.
Then their victim advocate department reached out to me, and they told me about a Facebook group for attendees that were also witnesses. And so I joined that group and got in touch with a few of the witnesses.
And how has that been?
It's been strange because even though there's 3,000 people there, the agent did told me that there's only about 30 people that submitted witness statements. And
so I was generous by saying 100 because more time has passed from this interview to now. But at the time, there was only 30 people out of 3,000 people that came forward. And this is one of 30.
And that Facebook group only has about 250 members.
So out of 3,000 people, only 30 people submitted witness statements.
Yeah.
That's
what do you make of that? Yeah, what do you make of that? I mean, that's
it's hard. I guess they were like, it's strange. I don't know why. The agent did tell me that most of those people were the people that were the closest. And maybe a lot of people, from talking to other witnesses from the Facebook group, they say, well, I don't know if I would do any good, or
like literally like at least 100 people were the closest. Like let's check it out real quick. Let's please don't be mean, X and YouTube. Please behave. Let's go here. Let's go here. So, I mean, there's more than 30 people like in this one shot, right? Like, and then just this wraps all the way around, and it wraps all the way around over here. More than 30 people were extremely close to this event and witnessed it like close up. And my belief is that when the official narrative was determined like on day one, within 33 hours, it was publicly known what the narrative was. And other people that have spoken to many people there that day, Blake being one of them, and others have as well, many people are afraid to come forward, right? People have been intimidated, threatened, pressured to either change or, their version of events or just not come forward at all. And I find it interesting that, the 30 people that came forward, I'm assuming, but he didn't clarify that though he put himself in that group of 30, and he himself said he reached out to the prosecution team as a witness, right, to give a witness statement, and not to the defense team, that those 30 would be. Yeah, it's just super weird to me, and I'm at a loss of words, so I'm apologizing that I keep saying weird.
they were afraid to come forward.
Yeah.
I even saw one of the witnesses that was interviewed by Steven Crowder on his Louder with Crowder show on Rumble that said that I tried to contact him and he said he didn't want to talk to me because he's afraid for his safety. And there's only one person that's consistently been supportive from that Facebook group that she checks in on me a couple days a week.
My assumption is that Crowder and other people probably, once talking to this gentleman or exchanging email and like a correspondence or text messages, decided that it wasn't smart to have him on their show. That's my assumption.
So there are some folks in the chat who I think remember you from some of the video, circulating after. I think maybe they had spotted the tattoo on your hand, and they were asking what that
There's only a couple minutes left of this, okay?
meant.
Oh, my left hand or my right hand?
I'm not sure.
It's probably on your right because that's where you were holding the mic.
Oh, okay. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a quote. So I'm a big movie fan, and one of my favorite movies is Blade Runner, the original, with Harrison Ford in the 80s. When there's a scene where the bad guy at the end, he passes away because he's like a humanoid like person, and he witnessed a lot of like amazing things, but he's been through a lot of hard times. And he says those moments, he talked about all these beautiful moments that are lost like tears in rain, and then he passes away. But I kind of took that and made it personal because my niece was just 18 years old and she was stabbed to death by a gang member in Taylorsville. And I went to her funeral. And then 6 months later, my dad was diagnosed with multiple myeloma cancer. And I took care of him for 5 years, and then he passed away of a heart attack in front of me. I actually had to make the difficult decision to let him pass.
And look, if what this gentleman is saying is true about his life, it is extremely tragic, and I don't make light of that at all. However, he seems to have part of his identity a victim, right? A victim to tragic events, and it's like part of his identity, and he's identified with that. And to me, that's a little questionable. And so I'm not denying that some of these things didn't happen because I don't know, but if they did, they're so tragic, and he definitely has cause to have trauma in his past. But I find it suspicious, his insertion of himself in this event where he is claiming he is like a victim in this, where there was over 3,000 and something people, and this is an outlier response. The majority did not respond this way, okay? 30 people came forward. Out of those, this is one we've seen, and the only that we've seen behave and act in this manner. And to me, as a grown man, it's just weird. It's just weird.
And so it's about those experiences that are like tears and rains. They're lost in the rain, but they're never forgotten. And so that's what that's from. That may have passed, like Charlie's passing. That event is in the past, but I'll never forget. So that's what that's about.
Thank you for sharing that story, and I'm sorry that you have experienced such tragedy in your life.
Yep.
But we appreciate you sharing. Do you mind telling us about, maybe it was the tattoo on your other hand? I think some of the people had noticed.
Yeah, they probably saw so police evacuated everybody, and I couldn't make it through the middle of campus to get back to my car, so I had to walk outside around and go through the parking lot, and that's when KSL interviewed me, and they had like the 3.5 hour video that you can find on KSL's website, and I was interviewed on there. And so this is
camera's up there.
Oh, right here.
Yeah.
So that's I'm a movie buff, so that's from the movie Hook, when Robin Williams, you know, he gets his happy thought, and then he's able to fly, and then he's flying over the ocean, and below him is the ocean water with the compass in the floor of the ocean, and it's like blue and green. So that's what that's from.
I like Peter Pan.
Well, you know, they say it's a beautiful way to express yourself, and tattoos tell a story. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your time. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, so that is that. All right, let's watch this clip. Well, actually, let's jump in here real quick. I want to see what Jay is up to.
Kirk was not shot with a 30-06, and you know he clearly wasn't. But here we are today, still arguing that. And the last thing I think I will get out the way is the fact that J.D. Vance had Erica bring her students to the White House. Y'all remember it got canceled last Thursday. Erica and JD was supposed to link up on the stage, but JD pulled out, probably literally. And, you know, they didn't have the event. The whole event got canceled. First, it was supposed to be Erica going there and all of that stuff. So let's jump straight into that, because that won't be that long. Definitely, yes. Appreciate that. Hit the like button for sure. Pray for her hurting. Everyone wants to be giving her testimony. No change yet. The Black Line Brief. Matt, what's going on, brother? We are supposed to be linking up again, the Black Line Brief and myself sometime this week. Matt, I saw your text message, bro. I'm going to hit you back. I was, man, my son had me exhausted today.
You're good, man.
And we had practice and all types of stuff like that.
You're good.
But yeah, we're going to link again this week, me and Matt. So everybody, please stay tuned. We'll come up with a day and time. It will be this week. Last time we talked, it was about 2 Saturdays ago.
Yep.
And it was a great conversation. So
I
I still would encourage everybody to go back and watch that. That was an amazing open discussion.
Yep.
But we will be doing a round 2 this week. Now.
All right. If you guys don't know who Jay the Yapper is on YouTube, he is an amazing dude. Here is what his profile picture and channel looks like. It's called The Professional Yapper. Head over to his channel, give a like, give a subscribe, and stay tuned for a future collab with him. I love talking with him. He's very articulate, very educated, and very in tuned with this case, and a humble Christian, honest individual. So stay tuned for that. Let's see. Let's go here.
He's defiant. You'll never be a top influence.
Hold on. Okay, cool. It's up. Let me make it big. Oh, wait, wrong one. Boom. Let me back it up. He's doing like a fake cold plunge where it's just the face.
He's defiant. You'll never be a top influencer now. You will never make it now.
Wait,
is this really what he did? What is the health property of this? It's really funny. This guy.
One more time.
Whoa. I mean, it has to be like ice bath type thing, right? Is that supposed to like tighten?
Oh my gosh, that was funny. I think I have another one. Hold on, let me go back. Let's see. Hold on, pause. Oh yeah, I've seen this one, but I'll play it. It's not gonna allow me to make it big. But let me see if I can do this. There we go.
Say I'm a professor here at WCU, and thank you for no, don't boom. What do you teach? Fair enough. I'm a sociology professor. I actually teach environment and climate change. Don't worry, that's not my question. I have no desire to talk about that today. Before I start, though, I actually want to surprise you maybe a little bit and say that I appreciate that you're here. If nothing else, hold on. If nothing else, as someone who wants so badly to see our students engaged in politics and the life of the mind, this is great. And you should give yourselves a hand for showing up and be out here to talk about ideas. I do want to focus my question, if I can ask a question rather than doing this whole polemic thing, on the students that are here. So I've taught here for 6 years. I've gotten to know hundreds of our students. Every semester I ask them what they care about, what they want, what concerns them. And I think you probably know this, what scares them the most is that the day that they leave here and they go on the job market, they enter the labor pool, that they're not going to find a job. They're not going to find a job. They're going to have a hard time buying a home. They're not going to be able to afford to have a family. Do you agree with that? Do you all agree with that?
Well, largely. Okay. I mean, if they're studying sociology, they might not be able to find a job.
Well,
but I mean, you're kind of proving that college is not really a good use of time.
So for what it's
if
worth,
the students you're talking to can't find jobs, why are they learning from you?
Sorry, for what it's worth, Charlie, I mostly don't teach sociology students. I mostly teach students from across campus who are interested in things like the environment and climate change. I teach very few sociology students. Actually,
I've seen this one. That was the best part of it. I wanted to. I found this was sent to me. This
against any other competitor.
Wait, what? Is this the full interview? No, it's 15 minutes. But why does it look like it's not the right one? Hold on. I think it's this one. Oh, it is this one. Okay, hold on. Am I sharing this tab? I am. All right. Mystic, is it the full clip? 15 minutes. It's a long clip. I'll play it and we'll see as it goes. Like if you could just send me a message real quick, like where I should actually start on the meat and potatoes of it.
And we will crush you because we've been through so much together.
That's right. You galvanize as a team.
Yes, exactly. And the memories that are created and the connectivity, right? That's what life is really about. At its core, it's about relationship.
Oh, this is Nihilist. Nihilist with a twist. If you guys don't know her, hop over to her channel and give her a like and a follow and a subscribe. Let's see if I get to the meat of it.
Process of solving problems. And there's a reason why you're on your third fund, Andrew, because after your second or first second one, like, okay, fine, you could go retire. Like, okay, that's not what life's about. It's about value creation. It's about pouring into people. It's about making people's lives better. And I think that's always lost because the outside world that is anti-entrepreneur, or at least value neutral on entrepreneur, they're like, oh, it's all about the money. I mean, look, that's a way to kind of token.
Part of it.
It's a way to tokenize and measure your success, obviously. No one here should be against it, but we would all say that it's about the team too. I mean, I look at my team, I'm like, I'll go to war with these guys. I'm sure you feel the same,
For
right?
sure.
Like
Absolutely.
put me up against any other competitor and we will crush you because we've been through so much together.
That's right. You galvanize as a team.
Yes, exactly. And the memories that are created and the connect.
Now, keep that in mind with, does that sound in keeping with Mikey McCoy reaching out to Candace Owens to tell her that Andrew Colvett needs to be investigated? Does that match up with finding out from Baron Coleman that Andrew Colvett and whoever it was in TPUSA at the time helped create this issue, right? That was seemingly going to ruin all the work Charlie had done with TPUSA. And he had been ghosting Andrew Colvett. Andrew Colvett had already met him, gave him his number, asking to connect with him. Asking to connect with him, asking to work with him. Charlie was like, nah, I'm good. He ghosted him, right? Then this, Hegelian like dialectic thing, right? Problem is created. Andrew's the reaction is that Charlie needs someone. No one was given to Charlie to resolve this. And here's Andrew. Oh, solution, hire Andrew. Andrew will make it all go away. And Andrew made it go away, right? Keep that in mind that in one of the instances where, Andrew was in an interview speaking about Charlie, there was another issue. Once Andrew was on the team, Andrew's initial response was, let's lie about this. Let's lie. And Charlie was like, we don't do that. I don't do that, right? I don't think Charlie really knew all the people around him. I don't even think they know each other, right? Zach and Baron both vouch that the source that reached out for Mikey is 100% trustworthy, and they trust Candace that is 100% a fact, that Mikey McCoy did reach out through this third party to Candace Owens to inform her to investigate Andrew Colvett. Does that sound like a family, a team, right? I bet there's a lot that happened behind the scenes that Charlie just, newly married, 2021, 2 kids under 5 by 2024. Working on the road 320 days a year, expanding the organizations, the 4 different organizations that encompassed all of TPUSA and its affiliates, writing a book, going on speaking engagement, debates, tours, hosting AmFest, doing daily podcasts, traveling to Japan. This man was so busy. There's only, honestly, that he had a surface level understanding of some of the people around him, only in work contexts. Blake Neff, Andrew Colvett, and Mikey McCoy all said that they never hung out with Charlie, personally, right? This trip, when Mikey came along to take photos of Erica and the family, that's the first time that ever happened, ever. Super weird. I wonder who put that up, right? I wonder if that was Erica Kirk. Him, going with his dad and stuff to Japan, taking pictures and capturing footage that we still have yet to be seen. They've released some of it, barely any. I just question, to what degree did Charlie really know those people around him? Because it seems like the more and more info that comes out, it seems like there's no way, if Charlie knew these things, he would have kept these people around him, and that he would have said a statement like that, if he actually knew who these people were.
Activity, right? That's what life is really about. At its core, it's about relationships. And that's what...
And that's the other thing, you guys. What he's saying his focus was, and what was important to him within the organization, was making a difference and the people, right? I do not get that same feeling, impression from Erica Kirk and Andrew Colvett now, or Tyler Boyer for that matter.
As an entrepreneur, it's you don't want to be a lonely entrepreneur. I learned that.
Hearing what he really thought of his TPUSA team and the people we are now saying they had something to do with his assassination makes the whole thing even sadder and even more disturbing, because he really trusted in these people. He really believed in them until his very last day on this earth. This makes his murder even more tragic, because, as you've heard it, he was willing to go to war with the guys who...
Thank you, Nihilist. I didn't mean to shake the camera. I'm sorry. I will get a better mount. When I move the ground, when I try to move my chair forward and the arms on the chairs, it bumps the table, it shakes the mic. Or when I put my hands down. Here's the thing too, if I were to sit back, okay, I guess I could do this. I guess I could hold the mic. That's one way to do it. But the desk doesn't extend all the way out here. So I guess I could be more chill and laid back and hold the mic like this. Or I might have to mount this mic on one of these arm extenders. Yeah, I'll play with it, you guys. I appreciate it. I didn't mean to shake the camera. Please forgive me, wifey. I love you. Thank you for always looking out for me in this community. Hopefully no one gets motion sickness. Hopefully no one was bothered too much with the shakiness of the camera. Well, let's see, you guys. If you haven't done so already, please do me a favor. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. It's how you can help the channel. It's the best way to support it. Yeah, I was listening to some other podcasters. Hit the like if you like the video. subscribe if you like the content and you want to be notified of future lives and videos that I post. And make sure you click on the all for the notifications. You have to hit on, after you subscribe, you got to hit it again and then click on the all for the notifications to be notified when I go live. Let's see. Oops. Let me go back here. Also, if you guys want to help support this channel but don't want to give to you give money through YouTube, you can donate money to the channel or support to the channel through the Blackline Brief Venmo account. And then let's see if I can send it to myself. Let's see how I do this. I'm going to do this live. All right, let's see if I can do this. Boom. Here we go. We'll do that. Or copy link. All right, I'm going to send it. I created something over the weekend and I posted about it on the channel's post, like main page. And let's see if I can put it here in the chat. Copy. Let's go back here. Let's see if it'll let me do it, guys. Cool. I created a buy me a coffee profile. It's something that what's his name, Coach Colin does for people to. It's just another way to donate and support the channel. If if that's something. Some people don't like giving through YouTube. YouTube takes a certain amount. And so this is just another way for people to donate to the channel. Let's see, and I could do this one. Let's see. Let me go here. Let me go back. Refresh. Let me pull this up. Share this tab. Exit. Hold on. And so there's the QR code. And it's, buymeacoffee.com/theblacklinebrief. But it's also the link that I posted in the chat as well. Okay. If anyone has any super chat they want to get in, any questions or comments, feel free to get it in before we sign off. Other than that, I love you guys. Thank you so much for all. Oh yeah. Let's, there might be, can I ask you guys, let's do a poll. Yeah, please don't go anywhere, you guys. I'm going to do a poll. All right, if you could, please take this poll. There is some things happening in my personal life that I'm not quite ready to say openly yet, but that my schedule might be changing, and I might end up doing this full time sooner rather than later. And if that's the case, I was just wondering if different people could or would watch if I did an hour stream in the morning, maybe one in the afternoon, and then one in the evening. And then as I find where the majority of the community is, I could then, maybe pick two of that. The goal is to do this full time. This is honestly, wow, you're right. It is shaking really bad. I just noticed that. Okay, maybe if I don't put my arms on the table. And did it do this before? I'll try not to move. That's like really bad. I'm sorry, guys. Did that bother everyone this whole time? My apologies. I'll try not to lean on the table when I do this. I'll see if there's also another way to position. We moved the monitor and my camera's attached to the top of the monitor, and it's like to the side. It's not in the dead center of the table anymore. And so it looks like that might be affecting how much it's affected when I like put my arms on the table or take my arms off the table. But I'll definitely try not to make that happen. That's probably annoying. But if I would be doing this full time, man, I can't even touch that. If I would be doing this full time, would people want or be able to watch lives at different times during the day, in the morning, in the afternoon, and then, I don't know, maybe same time, 5 or 6 p.m. at night? Let me know. Let's see what the poll looks like right now. Dang, how many people took the poll? It's 100% says yes. There's 30 votes. Hey, for those of you that are watching but aren't participating in the chat, that's fine. You don't need to participate in the chat. Can you take the poll at least? It's anonymous, but it at least gives more data as to what members of this community would like or prefer. And so the more people that take it, the more accurate representation of what this community wants will be reflected in the results. And so, you don't have to say what up and be, known by commenting or, in the chat. But if you're able to, wherever you're at, just take the poll for me. So it just gives me a better representation of what the community wants. Buymeacoffee.com, Jim Bear, help and support Matt's channel. Oh, thank you, Jim Bear. Jim Bear, one of our mods, news at 9, noon, and 6 from Nola. What up, Nola? Let's see. What up, Nola Jen? News at 9, noon, and 6 from Matt. I like it. And I really do want to branch out and cover so much more. I think now with the channel's current growth and community, I can probably do that. When I had done that in the past, maybe I was trying to do that too soon. And it just, every time I tried to cover something else, it kind of just missed the mark. But I think probably now with where I'm at and where everything's at with the community and the channel, it would probably do better. So I would love to be able to cover more topics of interest. Jesse Michaels on American Alchemy just did a tremendous interview regarding the UAP UFO and the scientists that have been disappearing and dying. That's fascinating to me. I love Graham Hancock and alternative ancient history. I have a lot of unique interests where I've spent years and years reading, watching, listening on. A lot of the things that I'm interested in is, why are we here? Where are we going? And like, what's our purpose here? And I know that within the context of my faith in Christianity, I understand that. I have questions on things that the Bible doesn't touch on, like, are we the only ones in this massive universe? And for me, I believe we're not alone. And I believe that's not contradictive to Scripture. If God is a creative God, like that's part of his nature, right? That's part of who God is. He is a God that creates. He created this massive universe with billions and billions of galaxies, and each have billions and billions of stars with billions and billions of planets. And we're the only creation that he created. That's hard. That's hard for me to believe. I believe that a God that creates would want to keep creating, and he wouldn't want to waste the space with just, for me. And so I'm fascinated in the different stories and actual facts and accounts that have come over the years of interactions with beings from other planets. And I don't think that contradicts my faith or the Christian faith or God or Christ at all. So the link showing Tucker lied about his father. Where's that? What, did you send me an email? Let me go back. You sent me a link? You emailed me a link? A link, you say? A link? Where's the link? Anchorman. We definitely love getting the news from you. Stay classy, San Diego. Oh my gosh. I was thinking of when he's Saint Diego. I'm not going to say that on here. Oh my gosh. Will Ferrell cracks me up, man. That's such a classic. That's such a classic movie, Anchorman. So many amazing zingers on that. It's hilarious. All right, let's check out the 98% say yes, 2% say no. It's all good. I like the 98%. I'll leave it open. There's 45 votes, so we ended up getting. That's weird. Why is it going 45, 44, 44, 45? People are resending their votes. Don't resend your vote, ladies and gentlemen. Some people are like, no, one live of you is enough in a day. I couldn't handle another live with you. Please don't do any more content. I'm just kidding. It's probably because people's schedules wouldn't permit for them to watch in the morning or the afternoon. But you would always be able to catch it on the replay, Yeah. Let's see. Right. Love Will Ferrell. Yeah, me too, Elizabeth. Will Ferrell's so good. Love me some Will Ferrell. He filmed the campaign in my neighbor's home. No way. The campaign is hilarious. Oh my gosh, with Zach Galifianakis. That movie is hilarious. I think that's the one, right? Is that the one with Zach Galifianakis? I don't speak Spanish. What was his dog's name? And he's talking about the cheese whiz. You ate the entire wheel of cheese? I'm not even mad. That's impressive. What is his dog's name? And he goes, come on. I don't speak Spanish. Read my comment. You read my comment. I'm honored. Yeah, of course, Elizabeth. I got you, Elizabeth Hurley. Look at this. Watch. Wait, no, get back here. It moves. Elizabeth Hurley. Yes. I read comments. The campaign, yes. Okay, Nola. It is. Oh, man, it moves, and then I clicked the wrong one. Yes. With Zach Galifianakis. And then they're in his home. That movie, if you guys haven't seen the Will Ferrell movie, campaign with Zach Galifianakis, holy smokes. Hilarious. For adults only. It's adult humor, but hilarious. The 2% mistakenly hit the wrong button. I like that. That's hilarious. I like that. Jim Bear, Matt. What's the dog's name, you guys? In Anchorman? No, but I will now chime. Sourdough? What? That's not the dog's name. Oh, Maxbox. Yeah, my wife also like sourdough. So please answer the questions for Jim Bear. It would kill two birds with one stone. Where do you buy everything? Amazon? Question mark. Who knows the name of the dog? You got Baxter. Baxter. You know I don't speak Spanish. You ate the whole wheel of cheese? I'm not even mad. That's impressive. And right, does the dog have it like headgear on? Is Baxter wearing like 1980s braces and has like headgear on? Am I remembering that right? Yeah, I got it now. Now everyone, I think like the chat is behind where I'm at. It like takes a while for your responses to catch up to what I've said. So there might be like a latency with like the stream, and you guys are seeing actually like 30 seconds to a minute behind where I'm at actually. So I'm seeing, yeah, I don't know, something like that. I'm not technical. Please don't make fun of me if I said the wrong word. Like, I always did stuff outside. Like, you know, I don't know. I played sports and did activities. That made me think of Step Brother. We have so much more room for activities. When they build the bunk bed out of their 2 queen size beds, and they're like, oh my gosh, we have so much more room for activities. Do you want to go down in the basement and, what does he say, play with like his samurai swords and cut pumpkins or something? I can't even. It's so funny. I think I'm going to have to go watch some Will Ferrell tonight. I need to laugh because I'll tell you this. Yeah, my work has been stressful lately. It's been really stressful, you know, and it's not due to the clients at all, you know. So, yeah. Was that failure to launch? Me? Not the one I was talking about. The one I was talking about was Step Brothers. All right, let me see if I should end that poll. 98%, right on. 50 people. I'm going to end the poll. Cool. So, I mean, that's that. I think, you know, that's a good representation of the constant, you know, consistent viewers and members of the community. Napoleon Dynamite. Oh my gosh, we need a movie night. I agree. I wonder how we could do that. That'd be great. You guys remember in the show Friends, I can't put my arms on the table. It looks like I'm in an earthquake. I'm sorry. It's just what I'm used to doing. And I have to untrain myself from doing that, okay? In Friends, when Rachel is working at the coffee shop and Joey and Chandler are sitting there, and they're talking about how she's unhappy serving and waiting tables, and she wants to actually pursue, you know, her, you know, passion of fashion. I didn't mean for that to rhyme like that, but they're like, you need the fear. You need to quit this job so that you'll have the fear. And then she's like, well, why don't you guys quit your jobs and get the fear? They're like, we're too afraid. And then she quits her job and she goes, she comes back home and Chandler and Ross are sitting there. That's the same episode where Monica is jonesing like an addict for the Girl Scout cookies, right? And she's like, I need another box of the Thin Mint Treasures. And he goes, Ross is like, we're out. And she's like, come on, man, just give me a box. I just need one box. Just give me one box. And he's like, I'm going to cut you off. And she's like, no, I promise. I don't have a problem. And then he's like, Monica, you have cookie on your neck. And then she like runs to the bathroom. And then Rachel comes through the door and is like, I need everyone to lick, you know, the stamp and put my resume in an envelope and send this off. And Ross was like, who did this resume? And Chandler was like, I did on my snazzy computer. And he's like, you sure picked a big enough font. And then he's like, yeah, well, it was really hard to put like, to fill up the page with waitressing and like one other thing. And Rachel's like, ha, 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 Mr. Funny Guy. You know, aren't you the one that told me to quit my job, Mr. Funny Guy? I know that's not exactly word for word at all what she said, but I digress. See, that was me just fixing my chair and the whole camera shook. Not my intention whatsoever. All right. That will do it for tonight. Stay classy, America. Love you guys. God bless you guys. I'll see you guys here tomorrow. Stay tuned for updates on whether or not, you know, I'll be doing this full time anytime soon. Wish me luck. God bless. Love you guys. Bye.